Any people that watch my channel and are interested in just alternate realities kind of a situations. This movie, of course, I never heard of it because it wasn't advertised, but sometimes it seems like the really, really good movies are the ones that they don't have to advertise that much. And this was one of those movies that I heard about. I think I either saw a link to this movie on Wikipedia, or I was listening to someone talking and they were discussing alternate realities. This is a very interesting movie. Even the soundtrack's good too in it, and the acting's superb, and the story is just excellent. I mean, if you people out there, if you like a good story and you want to be intrigued and you want to be interested in a good story, this is a movie to see. If you haven't seen this movie, I would highly recommend you watch this movie. It's Mr. Nobody, starring Jared Leto, and it hits upon a lot of different things. Like he's this guy that's born in 1975, but before he's born, he's with these other like pre-birthed humans, and there's angels. They're called angels of oblivion, and they come by and they put their finger on the lips of the souls that are to be born so that they forget their past lives. But the angels, they pass him up, and it was just kind of a poignant scene where the angels come in there, and he's making a choice who his parents are going to be, which I thought was kind of I mean, I don't believe any of this. It's a story, but it's a good story. And if you never have seen this movie, I would really highly recommend this movie. This is another movie that's an older movie. It's called it contains angels as subjects too. In the beginning of the movies, I really enjoyed the very beginning where the angels are talking to each other about the way the world is, and they're reading people's minds when they're reading books at the library, and discussing what the world was before humans were there. And it's kind of an interesting movie for an older movie. Wings of Desire, if you haven't seen that. The other one that's pretty good is this one. It's called Astral City. It's in Spanish, but it's English subtitles. And it's a situation involved where this doctor, he dies, and he has to pass on, and he goes to this other realm where he has to endure through discomforts before he's rescued by these people, these beings from this higher astral plane, which is people that have lived and died, and they've gone on to this other realm. And if you haven't seen this movie, it's pretty good. If you don't mind reading subtitles, or if you can understand Spanish, but this is another one that's it's a really good story. It's an interesting story, and sometimes we need stories to divert us, to help us, to get us going, to give life kind of take an edge off of things. At least you watch a movie, and it's fiction, it's a story, and just to kind of see where other people, the artists and the writers, storytellers have gone with the subject, like of death. This movie here with Robin Williams. The other movie doesn't so much deal with death, but it deals with being imbued with a different physical form. It's taking on a form that's different, that's alien from the form that you were birthed into. So in this situation, they were on a planet, and they had grown these beings in a laboratory, and then they infused their consciousness into the beings' bodies and became the part of this race of these other beings that were aliens that lived on this other planet. And that's an aspect of reemergence. There's an idea of somewhat of like what I'm saying in some of my videos about reemergence theory. This is a really good movie. If you haven't seen this movie, I'd highly recommend it. The other movie, which I thought was okay, but they could have gotten a little bit better in as far as how they're the same people, but they reemerge in the future on the Earth as those same people, but somehow there's music that they learn in one scene where he learns the song, and the song is carried over into one life after another life through the recognition of that melody, and that was kind of interesting for me. But the idea there being of you re-emerging again and again and again on into the future. And I think that if this kind of explores that idea, it explores the idea of there being like, if you had a son or a daughter, then that son or daughter would have children, and then those children would have children, and those children would have children, on and on and on and on. And eventually, in your own bloodline, you as an identity tied to your physical body would re-emerge in the pattern of your lineage. So that's kind of one of my ideas. I think that a lot of people believe that, and they just don't realize that they do believe that. They adhere to that. What will save them is the progeny will preserve their identity through physical transference of the DNA, which is kind of what I kind of think that it seems like that's where a lot of people. I don't know. I don't like to put, but it's just the idea that they're being you come back again and you don't really remember your last life, and and this is in the future. So something happens. This kind of they could have done a better story, but this is an okay movie. The last movie here is it's a documentary about Jack Kevorkian, and I thought it was pretty good. They really touch on some issues that the doctor had run across with patients that were, that they didn't want to live anymore. And basically he's a doctor and he's giving out the service, and they're interesting movie, but kind of explains further what happened to the Dr. Kevorkian. Brilliant man, really. I mean, he's ahead of his time. So anyhow, hope you all have happy holidays. Take care. See you around. Bye.